watching E! News. Let's see the headlines making the news today. 2 US troops killed and 1 missing after an Iranian attack in Jordan. A Russian missile and drone attack hits Kyiv as Ukraine reports multiple long-range strikes. And the countdown is on. Spain and Argentina are ready for the World Cup final this evening. Thanks for joining us. Washington says 2 American troops have been killed in Jordan following a deadly exchange of attacks across the region. It brings the total number of US service members killed since the war began to 16. The deaths triggered a new wave of US strikes inside Iran, while Tehran responded with further attacks targeting American military sites in the Gulf.
2 US service members have been killed and another remains missing following Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks in Jordan, according to the US military. US Central Command said 4 American service members were evacuated to hospitals in Jordan after the attack, but have since been discharged. The identities of those killed have not been released, and officials have provided no further details about the incident. The deaths mark the first US military fatalities caused by Iranian attacks since March. The attack prompted the United States to launch retaliatory airstrikes against Iran. US Central Command said the operation began on Saturday at the direction of President Donald Trump. Iranian media reported US strikes near the southern city of Sirik and near Shadigan, close to the Iraqi border. State news agency MER said there were no casualties or damage to infrastructure. Iran responded by launching drones at US military assets in Kuwait, according to Iranian state television. The reported targets included Al-Adiri Camp and Ali al-Salem Air Base, with Tehran describing the strikes as part of its ongoing campaign against US forces and allies in the Gulf. The Kuwaiti army said its forces were responding to hostile missile and drone threats and urged the public to follow official security instructions.
Well, residents of Tehran are calling for a stronger response as US strikes on Iran enter a 7th consecutive night. The latest attacks have damaged transport and energy infrastructure in southern Iran, while Tehran has continued retaliatory strikes across the region.
As US strikes continued for several days, Tehran residents condemned attacks on Iran's infrastructure and called for a response.
An attack on infrastructure is the most brutal form of assault. It puts the population of an entire country at risk and attempts to pressure them. In my view, this is the most hostile objective, and it must be resisted as strongly as possible.
I feel that this is more about bullying and coercion, which is why I say we must oppose it as much as possible. In any case, war is never a good thing. All Iranian people want peace, and we wish for peace to prevail everywhere, not just for us.
Other residents took a harder line and called for attacks on US positions across the region.
Iran must launch a wide-ranging and serious attack on American targets in the region, forcing the United States to retreat. Otherwise, certainly, the US will gradually and progressively advance, even toward Iran's central regions. And in time, the confrontation with US attacks will become more severe and heavier.
The comments showed differing views, ranging from calls for a wider military response to demands for resistance without a prolonged war.
Lebanon's president will visit the White House on Tuesday for talks with President Trump. It will be the first visit by a Lebanese head of state in nearly 20 years. Lebanon will present a written plan to disarm Hezbollah and seek US pressure for an Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon. The proposals are part of a US brokered agreement aimed at restoring Lebanese state control and easing tensions with Israel. His visit follows Israeli drone strikes on Saturday, which killed at least 4 people. Russia and Ukraine have exchanged major overnight strikes, with Kyiv bearing the brunt of what Ukrainian officials describe as one of the largest ballistic missile attacks since the start of the war. At least 1 person was killed and 15 others were wounded.
Powerful explosions shook Kyiv early on Sunday as Russian missiles and drones struck the capital and its surrounding region. Fires broke out at a dormitory, an apartment building, and a supermarket, while warehouses, offices, and parked vehicles were also damaged. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched more than 40 missiles and 125 drones overnight. 18 missiles and 108 drones were intercepted, while 23 missiles and 10 drones struck 20 locations. President Volodymyr Zelensky described the strike as one of Russia's largest ballistic missile attacks on Kyiv. A nearby missile strike also damaged Azerbaijan's embassy in Kyiv, shattering windows and leaving cracks in the ceiling, though no staff were injured. The strikes followed Ukrainian attacks on logistics and oil facilities inside Russia on Saturday.
Targets were hit near Moscow, as well as in the Tambov region. These were Russian logistics facilities, including warehouses supplying equipment for the war effort, navigation systems, components used in drone production, and other supplies for the Russian military. Our Ukrainian weapons also struck another oil facility and targets in the waters of the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. This was an important operation. There will be more. We will have more capabilities for medium-range strikes.
Russian officials said Ukrainian drone attacks killed 7 warehouse workers and wounded dozens of other people. A separate strike reportedly caused a fire at an oil depot in the Moscow region.
Well, protesters in Kyiv are demanding the dismissal of Ukraine's commander-in-chief. That's following the departure of the defense minister. Demonstrators gathered outside the presidential office for a 3rd consecutive day, calling for a more modern approach to warfare. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he intervened because the dispute between them had become too deep for them to work together. Now, Hungary's president has signed a constitutional amendment that will end his term as head of state. The measure was passed by Prime Minister Peter Magyar's ruling party as part of efforts to remove officials appointed during Viktor Orban's government. Magyar's party secured a 2/3 parliamentary majority back in April. The president said he was legally required to approve the amendment, but warned that the move damaged Hungary's constitutional democracy and the rule of law. Europe's latest heatwave is taking an increasing toll beyond public health. A new report warns that rising temperatures could cost Italy billions of euros each year, while the extreme conditions are also disrupting transport, energy production, and economic activity across the continent.
Persistent high temperatures could cost Italy between 6 and 12 billion euros a year, according to a report released on Saturday by the Italian Confederation of Business, Tourism and Services. According to the report, if Italy experiences between 30 and 60 days of extreme heat each year, businesses are likely to face rising energy costs, lower labor productivity, and reduced turnover. The report also says prolonged heat could change consumer behavior and travel patterns, putting additional pressure on the retail and tourism sectors. Heat waves are becoming more frequent as Europe warms faster than any other region. Many scientists say human activity is increasing the likelihood of more frequent and intense extreme weather events. This year's heat waves began in June, with weeks of record-breaking temperatures affecting major economies, including Germany and France. Temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius place physical strain on workers, impair concentration, and reduce productivity. Oxford Economics estimates that severe heat events can cut quarterly labor productivity growth by 2 percentage points. The hot, dry conditions have also disrupted transport and energy production. low river levels have restricted barge traffic on waterways such as the Rhine River, raising shipping costs and slowing deliveries of coal, fuel, and agricultural goods. Higher river temperatures have also forced reductions in nuclear power generation. Earlier this week, France cut nuclear output by 6.4 gigawatts, about 14% of the country's daily electricity demand, as warmer rivers limited reactor cooling.
Well, wildfires in Canada are affecting millions across the border in the United States. As smoke continues to spread, President Trump said the cost of what he called the pollution should be added to tariffs already imposed on Canada. Here's more.
Firefighting helicopters flew over towering smoke plumes in southwestern Canada as crews battled fast-moving wildfires near Pemberton, British Columbia. Hot and dry weather continues to fuel fires across Western Canada. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the province is battling 191 active fires. He also says the governors of Minnesota and Massachusetts have offered assistance.
We're also strengthening our fleet of firefighting aircraft by investing $650 million, which is the largest purchase in Ontario and Canadian history, to purchase 5 new helicopters and 6 new water bombers. We will not put a price on the safety of our communities, and I mean it when I say that we will spare no expense. I'll repeat that, spare no expense.
Smoke from the fires has drifted deep into the United States, covering cities including Washington, D.C., in thick haze. Air quality alerts have been issued across more than a dozen states, with millions of people urged to limit outdoor activity because of unhealthy air.
It's just the heat and it's just gotten so bad. So, I mean, climate change, it's not something I don't think anybody can deny at this point. I think we're really behind the 8 ball because people didn't believe it for so long. And now, everything that they said is coming to fruition.
I think it's kind of natural to have wildfires. It's been that way for millions of years, so I have zero concerns. And it's a part of nature's process.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump blamed Canada for the smoke affecting the United States and said he would speak with Prime Minister Mark Carney about Ottawa's wildfire response. Trump also said the cost of what he called the pollution should be added to tariffs already imposed on Canada.
Shanghai is hosting the 2026 World AI Conference, bringing together more than 1,000 companies and thousands of new technologies.
More than 1,100 companies are presenting their latest artificial intelligence products at the 2026 World AI Conference in Shanghai. The exhibition covers more than 100,000 square meters for the first time. Organisers say over 3,000 products and technologies are on display, including more than 300 making their global debut.
China is developing really fast, and we're a European company, and we want to help also European companies grow as well as Chinese companies. We're in the data field, so we basically do the data for the robots' intelligence.
The conference is also focused on international cooperation and the rules governing the development and use of artificial intelligence.
And AI can help us in that, but we need to be in the driver's seat. And in order to do that, we need AI ethics, because AI ethics, the principles are there to protect us, protect the human rights, to protect the human beings from, for example, from their data being kind of intercepted or being compromised, or the privacy not being respected, etc. Yeah, so it's very important.
The conference also unveiled an international action plan on AI ethics and a China-led initiative aimed at building trust and connectivity between AI agents.
Turkey has introduced Armenia's official customs code into its trade system as part of efforts to normalise relations between the two countries. According to Turkey's Sabah newspaper, the Trade Ministry has allowed the use of Armenia's official 077 code on customs declarations. The new rules also allow both countries to be listed as the destination or origin for certain shipments. The report says trade between Turkey and Armenia currently sits at around $335 to $350 million. To Uzbekistan now, and beyond its vast gold reserves, the Kızılkum Desert is home to one of Central Asia's most important wildlife sanctuaries. Our correspondent Sevil Rajapova visited the area as part of the Aral Sea Wetlands project, led by Uzbekistan's National Committee on Ecology and Climate Change and the Global Environment Facility.
Stretching across roughly 300,000 square kilometers between the Amudarya and Sirdarya rivers, Kızılkum, which means red sands, is the largest desert in Central Asia and the 15th largest in the world. Beneath the sand lies one of the world's richest gold-bearing regions. The desert is home to the Moving Tower deposit in the Navai region, widely recognized as one of the largest open-pit gold mines on Earth. The giant quarry covers an area of nearly 9 square kilometers and it's around 600 meters deep. Kızılkum remains the backbone of Uzbekistan's gold industry. Mining operations produce more than 120 tons of gold annually, while new deposits continue to be discovered in places like Çukurkuduk field, where reserves have been estimated at more than 130 tons of gold. Yet beyond its mineral wealth, Kızılkum is also home to unique natural habitats that cannot be found anywhere else in the region. One of them is the Kızılkum State Reserve, located along the Amu Darya near Uzbekistan's border with Turkmenistan. It covers more than 10,000 hectares and was established to protect rare desert and floodplain ecosystems and preserve the region's unique biodiversity.
One of the greatest threats to these forests is fire. During dry periods, the risk of wildfires increases significantly. Another major challenge is the large number of mosquitoes and insects, which create difficulties both for wildlife and for the people working in these areas. Insects and pests can have a serious impact on animals. The forests themselves are extremely important because they provide habitat and shelter for wildlife. If the forests disappear, animals are forced to move into desert areas where conditions are much harsher and food resources are more limited. Another problem is seasonal flooding. Since these forests are located along riverbanks, they can be inundated when water levels rise. Flooding creates difficulties, particularly during the breeding season. The breeding period usually falls at the end of May and the beginning of June. At this time, animals need forest cover to protect and raise their young. When forests are flooded, many animals move into the desert to breed. There, however, they become more vulnerable to predators such as jackals and other carnivorous animals, which can attack their offspring. For this reason, forest rangers are constantly working to protect these areas. Various projects have been implemented to support their work. Through these projects, they have received assistance in the form of binoculars, cameras, sleeping equipment and tents, helping them carry out their conservation activities more effectively.
In a landscape where summer temperatures can exceed 50 degrees Celsius, the waters of the Amu Darya create a lifeline through the desert. The reserve combines Tugay forest, wetlands and desert habitats, and they provide shelter for hundreds of species of plants and animals. Among its most valuable habitats are the endangered Bukhara deer and goitre gazelle. Migratory birds, including pelicans, flamingos, and herons, use the area as a seasonal refuge. Scientists say ecosystems like this are becoming increasingly important as environmental pressures grow across the region. Protecting areas like Kızılkum has become a growing priority for Uzbekistan and its international partners. Across the desert, protected areas and nature reserves are safeguarding rare species, while reforestation programs are working to combat desertification through the planting of drought-resistant vegetation. Conservation efforts are also supported by modern monitoring systems, scientific research and anti-poaching measures, all aimed at preserving one of Central Asia's most fragile natural environments. It is Sevil Rajapova reporting from Bukhara, Uzbekistan A News.
to sport now, and the stage is set for one of the biggest nights in world football, with Spain and Argentina ready to battle for the FIFA World Cup trophy. From star players chasing history and legacy to a spectacular halftime show, the final promises drama both on and off the pitch. Here's more.
Preparations are in full swing at New York, New Jersey Stadium ahead of Sunday's FIFA World Cup final. Rehearsals for the closing ceremony are underway, with some of the biggest names headlining the show. This year's final will feature the tournament's first ever Super Bowl-style halftime show, extending the traditional 15-minute break, a move that has sparked debate among football fans. On the pitch, Argentina captain Lionel Messi has the chance to add another historic achievement to his remarkable career. Already a World Cup winner in 2022 and a Copa America champion in 2021 and 2024, the 39-year-old is aiming to lead Argentina to back-to-back World Cup titles. If successful, Argentina would become the first team since Brazil in 1958 and 1962 to win consecutive World Cups. Standing in their way is a young Spanish side led by 19-year-old Lamine Yamal. After helping Spain win Euro 2024, Yamal could become the youngest player ever to win both the European Championship and the FIFA World Cup, adding another milestone to his rapidly rising career. Meanwhile, at a reception in New York, US President Donald Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino praised the tournament's success. Trump even suggested the United States could host future World Cups on its own, or, jokingly, alongside China.
I suggested that this has been so successful that, and I'm really working these people hard because they really call the shot. They tell Johnny exactly what to do. I say what we should do is you should choose the United States of America again. This time we'll leave Mexico and Canada out. But Johnny also had another idea. He said we could do it China and the United States for next time. We do them China, United States, so you have a nice short flight in between games,
The FIFA World Cup final between Spain and Argentina will be played on Sunday, July 19th at New York, New Jersey Stadium, where one nation will lift football's biggest prize.
Very excited for that. Now, finally, FIFA is introducing championship rings for the first time, borrowing a long-standing tradition from American sport. FIFA says 30 bespoke rings will be produced, with temporary versions presented to the winning captain and head coach immediately after the final. The rings will later be customised and fitted, featuring the World Cup trophy on one side and details of the winning team on the other. They will form part of a limited edition of 2,026 numbered pieces, with the remaining offered for sale to fans worldwide. Wonder how expensive they're going to be. That's your news for this hour. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to E! News for all of your latest updates.